Hey guys, this is Nick Christopher from Mob Tales. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for your support. Please like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Leave a nice comment or two, that'd be appreciated. Today we have a good friend of mine, special guest. I've been on his show as well a while back. Great guy, has a lot of good stories. Bobby Luisi. Thank you for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me on there.
No, no, my pleasure.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been a while. How you been?
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I guess I'm okay.
Good, good.
Hanging in there. Keeping busy as always. You
Yeah,
know,
me
you
too.
know, you
Me
know
too.
how it is.
Oh, yeah.
Got to keep relevant, kind of a thing. I'm going to just tell, some of the people who may not know you yet, a little bit about you. If I'm wrong on anything, please correct me. Um, Bobby is a guy who was from the Boston area. Um, Grew up around a lot of guys like Anthony Arulada, um, and Julio guys, all the whole crew over there in Boston. Um, if I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong. My memory's going as I get older. Uh, if I'm correct, you were a captain. If I'm correct,
Yeah, I was a cop in the Philadelphia family.
right? Okay. And you grew up in that area in that time frame, 70s, 80s, around there,
Hmm.
where everything was really hot and heavy, and the 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 wise guys were very, very powerful at the time, not what it is now, obviously. So
Right.
that's pretty much where Bobby kind of comes from. So I'm gonna just throw a couple of questions at you. You know, um, the first thing I really I want to go way back now, when you were a kid.
Right.
Um, what what drew you to that world? I mean, we hear the same old stories. Oh, the guys in the neighborhood, we saw all the nice cars and the rings and all that other bullshit. Um, I think the way you kind of got drawn into it was a little bit different, if I'm correct.
Well, my father was mobbed up with these guys since he was a
Right.
kid. I was 11, 12 years old. I started working with Ronnie Romanowski. He ran Ronnie Rome vending for the Angiulo family. So 11, 12 years old, I was working for the vending company. We go around the city, we go everywhere, meet everybody, be in all these social clubs, meeting all the gangsters. Then later on, I started going in town. My father's friends were all made guys, Johnny Ciccardi, Richie Gambale, Larry Baioni, and I started liking, be around these guys. 16 years old, I started hanging around with them. But at that time, too, Nick, I was doing carpentry work after school, and I really enjoyed it. So instead of following my father's footsteps, I started a carpentry business, got a builder's license. But I was Bobby Luisi's son, so I always had that notoriety. You know what I mean? It was good being his kid at that time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 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 of course. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
did your dad ever, did he kind of want to shield you from that world, or he didn't, or he kind of invoked you to go to get involved? What was his take?
No, he didn't mind all of us cousins, everybody being around these wise guys. Um, he never really, I don't think he really wanted me. When I got older and I came back in 1990, I hit the streets. I don't think he was comfortable with that, to be honest with you. He didn't push me to do it. I did it on my own. I was a Luisi. It was easy for me. Then I just went out on the street. I came back, was in the North End, on Boston with a Little, and that was mob headquarters. And so that's what I did. In 1990, I started pushing out again.
What?
Eventually, we were in a war at that time in the 90s. A lot of people know about that. And, things got a little crazy. I think about 96, 97, I got made of the Philadelphia family. We straightened out my crew in Boston, and I was a boss up in Boston.
Well, you're saying you got, now this is the confusing part that people might get a little bit lost. You're saying you got straightened out with the Philly crew,
Yeah.
but you were in Boston. So there's two different families. How does that work out?
Well, what happened, I had a falling out with I was proposed in the Petriarca family, and I had a falling out with one of the captains. You know, I was making a lot of money. I got really strong. I had crews, you know, in several cities, and I was getting maybe too big for my britches. I don't think they liked it, you know. Anyway, there was one capo. Yeah, well, this is what they do, you know,
Yeah.
kind of holding me back. And had words with him one night. It wasn't pleasant for him, you know. And I knew at that point I wasn't getting made. So a friend of mine, close friend, Frank Rossi, praise God, I don't know if he's still alive or not, did time with Ralph Natali. And when Ralph came home from prison, Joey Molino made him the boss of the Philadelphia family. So that's how I had the connection to Philly. I
Oh,
went
okay.
down, yeah, I went down and they were great guys. You know, they went through the procedure, got proposed, they had to wait. Then I got made. Months later, then I became a captain.
So basically, the Boston crew released you.
The Boston crew had no choice.
Had no choice. Okay. How's that? Well, explain. What do you mean they had no choice?
Well, I mean, we would come up in a war. You know, a lot of my friends, the Patriarchas, went away. Yeah, they weren't strong enough to stop me, obviously, because I would have been in a box, you know.
Hmm.
So I'm in the North End, I'm planted in there, and I'm a capo in the Philly family. There was nothing they could do. I made my crew, and that was it.
Okay. So are you? So basically, for us to understand, the Philly crew was a little more stronger than the Boston. They had a more powerful crew. In other words, their family was a little more powerful.
Oh, absolutely, but that wasn't even the point. I had that wrapped up anyway without the Philly family. It was just the point of getting made,
Okay.
straightening out my crew, and that's what I got done. That's what I
Did,
accomplished.
did New York have any say in this?
Well, afterwards, Joey met with Pete Gotti,
Hmm.
and he told Pete that I was up in Boston, and that was okay. You know, because at that point in the '90s, there was no more commission, so
Yeah.
Pete used to go around to the families, and he said, "I'll go around, I'll tell everybody Luisi's up in Boston."
Right. That's protocol, right? That's basic
Yeah,
protocol.
that's protocol. Yeah,
Right. I got it.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, excuse me. Well, being in the area during that time period was, um, like you mentioned, Larry Bayonne. Now, Larry had something to do with um, the whole thing with the Whitey Bulger case and how it affected Boston.
Yeah,
Uh, Jerry and Larry and everybody over there.
yeah.
That was a big blow. Now, what was your impression? Not so much then, but really more now of how things are done. What is your take on that? How that whole thing unfolded?
Well, you know, I was around. My father was in Larry's crew, proposed in Larry's and Eno's crew, Larry Bione.
Hmm.
And Johnny Ciccardi, Ralphie Chong, these are the guys that I was around and looked up to. And they used to talk about Whitey. They didn't trust him. They weren't sure, but they never trusted him. Johnny Ciccardi told me one time, stay away from him. This when I was a kid. This
Hmm.
was going on, you know. And eventually we found out that he helped the feds wire up Jerry and Julo's club, the doghouse on Prince Street. We know all the harm that he did to the Italian mob in Boston.
Hmm.
I think Whitey should have been taken on a long time ago, but that wasn't my generation. When I came around, he was still around in the early '90s. He wouldn't even come around us. He had a little crew in South Boston. Now, let me tell you, Whitey was probably one of the most dangerous guys that ever came out of Boston. Don't get me wrong, Whitey was a gangster.
Yeah, it was just
And
sick.
Simon Dick, no, he was a gangster. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, money, I mean, he was a real gangster, the guy. God bless him. But you know what he did? So,
So do you feel like what Whitey did and John Connolly? Do you think that really that pretty much decimated the Boston organization? He did a real bit. They did a real big job on them. Do you think that really almost annihilated them?
Well, it came close. After Jerry went away and Larry, Joe and Vinny were left there. I don't want to keep saying names. These guys are still, well, Vinny's still around, but they took over the family. They tried to whack Frankie Salemi. They killed Wild Bill in Connecticut. And Boston pretty much had reign over the situation. They took the power out of Rhode Island, but Raymond Jr.'s son was still there. And they were told to respect him and not to hurt him. But the Boston guys were putting it back together. And with their farmers and everything else, once they took down Vinny, Joe, these other guys, then it started to fall apart. And we ended up in a war in the 90s.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, currently, I mean, now things have changed, obviously. You
Yeah.
know, that world is not what it used to be at all.
No, not at all.
But I know you've probably been asked this question more than once. What is your perception of their standing at this point? Do you think they are about, about to like go out completely, or do you think they will always be around regardless of what the government does?
There's always going to be a remnant. There's always going to be. It's never going to go away totally. It's hard to earn money on the street right now if you're not selling drugs. I don't know what these guys are doing, but this is their life. This is what they want to do. The mob in Boston is never going to be what it used to be. It's over with. But there are still some guys out there.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, I know the guys that are out there, serious guys, don't get me wrong, but they'll never have the power we had. In the 90s, it was Wild West up here. That can never happen again. It's never going to happen again. You don't even hear of anybody getting clipped anymore.
No, you don't. Unless you're in
No,
Canada.
you don't.
Unless you're in Canada.
Yeah.
They're nuts up there.
Yeah.
Well, if of all the ethnic groups that are out there, it wasn't just the Italians, obviously. It was the Irish, the Greeks, the Jews, so all down the line, Russians, and so forth.
Yeah, everybody worked together. Yep.
Well, if you were to pinpoint currently what ethnic group is pretty much the most active and the most feared at this point, which one would you, I mean, I would think the Mexican cartel, but that's just me.
Well, yeah, the Spanish up here is getting strong, but they do their own thing like the Italians used to do. They don't bother anybody. Boston's a good city, but there are Black and Spanish gangs coming up right now. You have to remember something. After the 90s, and you know this, and even all over the country, I mean, the mob just started falling apart. It still could be strong in New York because of the people. There's 8 million people over there. Compared to Boston, compared to Philly. Philly put themselves back together. They got them, they got their crews together. They're still doing their thing down there. Like I said, I don't know how they're making money. The Boston guys still have a small thing up here together, but like I said, Nick, it's never going to be the same. Never be the same,
But you would agree that, like say, out of all the ethnic groups that are out there, crime organizations, like I said, Russian, Asian, Latin, anyone that you would think that's the most prominent at this point.
Well, I'm not going to say organized like the Italians,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like I said,
Nobody's
but like
like
I said,
that.
yeah, the Latinos and the Blacks are in their neighborhoods, and they're pretty much running them.
Oh, so they kind of replace the Italians to some degree.
Yeah, well, it's like anything else. It's their people now. They move into the neighborhoods, and they got their own gangsters. They do their own things. They're selling their drugs. They're extorting, whatever. Myself, far away from that life now. I go to work every day. I have my show, obviously, the Bobby Luisi show.
That's right.
I do my Christian teachings every Sunday. I do my mob interviews. I know it kind of conflicts, but it's working. And that's it. I'm happy. I don't want to know nothing about the street, Mickey. I haven't seen anybody. No one comes near me. I don't go near them. And things are good right now.
Well, that's going to come to my next question now. What drew you? What inspired you to move away from that world completely?
Well, when I got arrested, four of us got picked up in Boston in my crew, 7 in Philadelphia with Joey Molino. And I was only facing like 10 years, drug charge. And then as the course was going on, Marty Bedrol was an AUSA in the Boston office. And he left there, he went into my lawyer's office. But he came down and told me, he said, Bobby, we'll try to get you to 10 on this, but you're not going to get out. All your friends are ratting on you with murders. They got you cold. They're talking about it up there now, you know. And he wanted me to flip right there. I won't do it. But after a little while, after realizing everything that was going on, I said, I'm done with this. You know, you make money with these guys, you kill with these guys, you do things with these guys, and what do? It's self-preservation, my friend. As soon as they get the chance, they get that ticket out the door, that's it. They're going to give you up. And that's how it is out there right now, my friend. You can't trust anybody.
Yeah. Well, I've had a discussion with somebody the other day, as a matter of fact, about what you just said. Yeah. And how I had an argument with them, actually, because they're like, oh, I don't like people that rat, flip, whatever. And I had an argument with them saying, well, unless I believe, I said, in my opinion, I said, you're judging them. Not unless you live in their shoes to understand what they went through and why they did what they did, right. You shouldn't be calling them this. Oh, but they took an oath and they're not supposed to rat, but. I said, you know, that fucking oath is like dead back in the 50s.
These other guys took old stew that ratted on me, my friend. So what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree.
This is what they don't understand. So I'm going to be a fool and do the rest of my life in prison. So all these other guys could go home. What am I, a jerk off? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah. That's what happened.
Yes,
and when I flipped, I turned it on them. They had to do their time. But now, if you know my case, I went to trial twice at the end. I never ended up helping the government. If they want to call me a rat, that's fine. But I never helped them, my friend. There's no one trial, no case, no paperwork that could come up against me. Believe me. Did I talk to them? I was wrong for doing that. I agree. I was wrong about that. Should have never did that. I was a made guy. I was a boss. But you know what? I'm sitting here today. I'm home with my children and my family, you know, and in my mind, I did the right thing.
Yeah, you did. You did. I mean, like you said, self-preservation, like you just said. That should be the new code, basically.
Yeah. Well, you know, we go into this thing in La Cosa Nostra, we're loved like it's a family. You know, we're doing this together. You know, we consider everybody else civilians. You know that, Nikki, and we got our thing. And when that thing turns on you, how do you stand up for it? Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of great guys. Philly, nobody ratted down. I mean, there's a lot of good people, you know. But listen, I know what I was facing, and I know what I had to do. And that life wasn't for me no more.
Right. No,
well, I'm going to go do my time and come back into it and get ratted on again. Or who's going to turn on me? Who's going to try to kill me?
Yeah,
why?
Exactly. Yeah.
Make no too smart for that. You know?
Yeah, 100%. But you became very much involved in your ministry and what you do. You know, right. Like you said, on Sunday mornings. That's a big transition from being a street guy to a very religious and preaching the good word. Now, how did that happen?
It was about 15 months before I got arrested. I had a spiritual encounter. It lasted about 8 hours. I even wrote about it in my books. And so right there, I turned that night and I accepted Jesus in my life, but no one knew about it. Only, you know, I had one guy, Tommy, with me, who's my bodyguard. He used to drive me around. And I started taking him to church. After that happened, I was going to church. No one knew. Tommy was coming with me. He loved God. He ended up becoming born again. And great guy, Tommy. We were going to church with guns in our back. It was too funny. And when I got arrested, you know, I had time to start really reading the Bible, and there were other things that were happening to me.
Mhm.
Visions, things I was seeing, and you know, getting really closer to God. And I said, "Well, this is the right thing to do for me." You know, so I was in prison. I wrote a book, God's Plan Revealed. I got a degree in theology, and actually wrote 2 books in prison. From Papa to Christian. They're both up on Amazon and in my essays.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, they're doing a book on me right now. Emily Sweeney is a top reporter for the Boston Globe. And she's doing a book on me right now, Foot of the Floor, the Bobby Luisi story. And that's up on Amazon for pre-sale. It'll be done in October. You know, so there's a lot of things going on with that. But like I said, the things I talk about, Nikki, no one would really talk about, but I don't care. It happened to me. And I don't care if people think I'm crazy, but I know what I saw. I know there was Satan. I know there's a God, and that's it. How can you refute that? And that's what
100%. Yeah. Well, it was based on this, you know, awakening, so to speak. Have you taken this to another level, meaning public speaking, telling other, maybe even prisoners and maybe something like that, going to the jails and talking to convicts and maybe inspiring them to follow the same road, or maybe even young guys, young men and women to stay off the streets and that kind of stuff?
Oh, what's happening through the YouTube show? You know, you did my show before, and it was all, you know, about my story, the Wednesday Night Live, and wrapped around this gangster thing. But a lot of people know about my past, and they used to ask me on the show, "What about this, Bobby? And what about that?" And I said, "You know what? I got to start teaching." And seeing that, I've helped a lot of people just on YouTube. When I first got out, and I was in Tennessee, I was a pastor for a short time in the church, an assistant pastor. And I came back to Boston because I missed everybody, you know. And so when I came back, I started the show, and then eventually just got into the Christian show. People wanted to hear it, and that's what I started to do. But now, starting probably next month, I'm going to start doing my interviews again. I know it's a little conflict between the two, but you know, that's my past life, and this is my life now. So, but I do love to do these interviews, and you're probably going to be back on my show, I hope, when I get started.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. So basically, look, it's like you said, it may be a conflict of interest, but it's like the saying goes, you know, like your books, you write what you know and what your knowledge is, right? Like my books, I write what I know, because I know about the life, because I grew up around it. I know what to write. I'm not going to write a romance novel because I don't know how to write a romance novel.
Not me either. You're right. I know.
So you write what you know, basically.
Yeah.
Now, has there been any guys that, guys who are not in that life anymore, that have also joined you on your quest, on your, your ministry, or whatever? Have they come to join you and help you or whatever?
Well, I have friends that were in the life, not in the life anymore, back here in Boston. We all associate with each other. We went through the war together. You know, my old crew, I really don't associate with any of them. I don't associate with anybody that's on the street that still wants to be a gangster. I don't want nothing to do with them. Family and all, I don't bother with them, I've been here back in Boston since 2018. I hear little stories, but not a phone call, not a visit. So we just leave it like that.
Oh, good.
Life is bad, Nikki,
That's right.
I don't want to do it and they don't want to do it. So we just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's better off. Definitely.
Friends don't hurt you. They can say all they want about me. Just keep your distance and we'll be okay. Like, I mean,
yeah. Exactly.
Right. I may be a Christian, but no one's going to hurt me, my friend.
And so basically right now, if you were to share anything with anybody of what what's coming up for you right now would be rebooting the show again, I guess, right?
Yep.
And the current book from Emily Sweeney that's coming out, you said in October.
Yeah, Foot of the Floor, the Bobby Luisi story. Right now, it's going to be in bookstores, but right now it's on pre-sale on Amazon. All my books are on Amazon, and I also have the Esty store. And in the Esty store, I autograph the book, and I mail it out for $25. Either the Christian book or from Capital Christian. I will do the same when the other book comes out. So for $25, I'll mail it anywhere in the country. If anybody out of the country wants the books, they got to go on Amazon. I mailed one to Canada. It cost me $15 to mail it.
Yeah, it's about
I can't charge people $50 for a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So anybody out of the country, they're better off just going on Amazon
Oh
again.
yeah, definitely, of course. Yeah, the shipping and everything, forget about it. I know. I people have bought my books in London, so I know.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What publisher was that, by the way?
Well, the two of them I have right now are self-published that are up right now.
No, but
I
the one with Emily.
The one with Emily, he's a new publisher out of Boston, and he's been in the business for a long time, but he's a publisher out of Boston.
Okay.
And he took our book, and praise God, he did that. And like I said, as soon as it's done, he'll have it out in the bookstores, and I'll have it on my SD channel too, so I can sign it for them.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, man.
Yeah, it's working. It's going.
Well, Bobby, look, it's been amazing having you on the show. I definitely appreciate it. I wish you good luck with the show and the book and all that kind of thing. I definitely want to get it myself eventually. I mean, I got the other one,
Yeah, I know.
the first one,
Mm-hmm.
which was very good, interesting. So this one looks good too. Emily, I know who Emily is. She's a good writer. I know.
Oh, she's very good. Bob writer, yeah, very good.
Almost as good as me. No, I'm kidding. But again, Bobby, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, where can people? I know it's Amazon. I know that, but
yeah,
a website too, right?
I have a website. I sent over the link for the SD store to get the book. Or like I said, they could go right on Amazon to get it. So they're up there. And it's just, they got to just Robert Luisi, they'll come right up.
Okay. All right. Awesome, my man.
Yeah. All right, great.
Again, thank you much, and we'll get the link to you once it's all live.
All right, thanks. And probably a month or two, hopefully you'll be on my show, Nick, when I get started.
Oh, man, more than happy to.
All right, my brother. God bless.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Mob Tales with Nick Christophers. Please share, like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And leave any comments for Bobby. He always likes to see girls say a nice word.